All right, it's Tuesday, June 2nd. I'm going to call the regular East Lyme Inland Wetlands Agency meeting to order, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Gary, I assume no additions to the agenda today?
I have none.
Okay. So I'm going to start with public delegations. This is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the Commission about certain matters, issues, or concerns related to approved wetland permits and in-house proposals or general topics of discussion are open to comment. Agenda items, referrals, applications subject to a decision by the Commission, a public hearing, or in litigation may not be discussed. The members of the Commission will not directly answer questions or make comments during delegations. So if there's anyone here from the public related to something not on our agenda, I welcome you to come up and just state your name and address, please.
My name is Donald Danella. I reside at 24 Patagonia Drive, East Lyme. I'm an appointed member of the East Lyme Commission for the Conservation of Natural Resources and a member of the Board of Directors of the Patagonia Lake Association, or PLA. I will provide a written copy of my statement with the agency's recording secretary following my remarks. The issue. I previously appeared before this agency on March 3rd, 2026, expressing concerns that the PLA had about ongoing clear cutting and other site work on the 3-lot Lakeside Point subdivision located off Heritage Road. This subdivision was approved unanimously by the East Lyme Planning Commission at its April 8th, 2025 meeting. I pointed out that this housing development had proceeded without any formal review by this agency. Upon conclusion of my remarks at your March meeting, agency members expressed their concern over the lack of oversight with respect to this development. I present to you the following information, which may be found on page 3 of the April 8th, 2025 Planning Commission minutes. Quote, Jeffrey Torrance, 197 Upper Patagonia Road, assisted the East Lyme Land Trust on open space projects, worked with DEEP in writing grants, noted land trust space along the lake is for preservation purposes, distributed a conservation easement, attachment I, addressing lake access, end quote. I have attached a copy of this easement that was presented to the Planning Commission to my written remarks. As a document submitted in support of the subdivision application, I believe it was something that had to have been considered by the Planning Commission in rendering its decision of approval. These two sentences in the minutes lack context, so I reviewed the video of this Planning Commission meeting. At approximately 1 hour 26 minutes into the recording, I observed Mr. Torrance's testimony in which he states several times that the 3 individual homeowners would be allowed to construct and use only a 10-foot wide pathway to the Patagonia Lake shoreline, which, and I quote and emphasize, will require a permit from the East Lyme Inland Wetlands Agency, end quote. I would ask Gary to put up the paragraph F, the PDF that I sent to you. Please see the red text, paragraph F, on page 3 of this conservation easement, which Mr. Torrance stated were among the provisions he negotiated with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection regarding this property. You'll see the last part of it says it just should go before the Inland Wetlands Agency for any clearing and other work. I particularly note that during the March 3rd IWA meeting, one of your members expressed his concerns about this provision, allowing for a 10-foot access by the homeowners. He was quite insistent that he wanted to see an application for the 10-foot clearing to come before this agency. Mr. Gaishel then confirmed that no clearing should occur along the lake, even of a 10-foot strip, without IWA oversight and approval. Present conditions. I would ask Mr. Gaishel to put up the photographs that I sent him.
Yeah, all through. Here's not to scroll through. Does it order, but let's start now.
Yes, that's fine. You can. I recently emailed 4 photographs of the relevant easement paragraph and the shoreline of the Lakeside Point subdivision to your chair, Mr. Gaisel. I now ask that they be presented to all of you and the public here at this meeting. I have appended copies of these photos to my written statement. Does it look like the provisions of the conservation easement have been followed? It was noted at the March 3rd IWA meeting that a conservation easement implies a certain protection of the environment and natural areas. Does it appear that the clearing has been constrained to the 10-foot pathway as noted in the conservation easement, which should have been made only after approval by the IWA? Has the builder, Mr. Rich Lemieux / Nova Developers LLC, who acquired this property from English Harbor Capital Partners LLC, ever come before this agency for approval to clear cut nearly all the trees and shrubs along a considerable portion of this lake shoreline? I found it outrageous that this document and statements made and the statements made when seeking a town regulatory commission approval for a subdivision development can then be willfully ignored. I've been made aware of several conversations held by a fellow PLA member with Mr. Lemieux, who indicated his plan all along was to clear cut most of the vegetation right down to the lakeside. Further, this was apparently done with the approval of Mr. Gaisel. This leaves many areas sloping down to the lake with insufficient vegetative cover to halt erosion. Even though Nova Developers LLC was not the entity granted the subdivision or who promised to go before the agency, in my mind, the builder is obligated to follow the prescriptions that led to the favorable subdivision decision, not to mention agreements previously made with Connecticut Deep. Finally, with respect to any oversight of this issue by the East Lyme Land Trust, I say little except that this organization is not worthy of its name. The one person who has complete knowledge of this whole affair is Mr. Gaisel, who, as you know, is both the Director of Planning and the Inland Wetlands Agent. He is knowledgeable about both the subdivision application and subsequent events occurring on his property. Perhaps he can explain why the provisions of the conservation easement were ignored. I ask why this flagrant and deliberate action of mass clearing of vegetation without IWA approval was allowed. I ask that you impose the most severe sanctions you can in stopping the egregious actions taken by the builder. He should be made to remediate this clearing by restoring as much as possible all the natural vegetation formerly found along this portion of the lake. Having attended past IWA meetings, I know you have previously ordered actions of this sort with others not adhering to our inland wetlands provisions, even those incidences that had much smaller impacts. Further, any future work, including the 10-foot clearing for homeowner lake access, should not be permitted until this agency has rendered a favorable decision along with any necessary conditions. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thanks, Don, for bringing this to our attention. I know, I wish you don't have before pictures, but I imagine it was.
It was totally,
You wouldn't be able
I
to
fished
see.
this lake constantly. It was totally wooded, trees, mountain laurel and other vegetation. You could not even see above the first floor of the house under construction until he cleared everything.
I would concur with that.
And so
It
this
was
is a
heavily wooded.
conservation easement that was meant to not be touched.
So we can either take this up now, or continue
yeah, we
on,
do.
or when we get to my report, because I have pictures from my site inspection as of Monday.
Okay.
So however you want to do that, but you want to take it up under my report?
Yeah. Is that okay, Don? Do you mind staying for?
I will stay. I think this is such an important matter. We have other members of the board of Patagonia Lake Association here that are quite interested in hearing what you have to say about this.
Okay.
We feel this is an abomination.
Okay, so we will address this in a little bit. So we have no public hearings tonight. Do I hear a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes of April 7th, 2026?
I'll do that motion, to accept the meetings from April 26, 2026.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, and we should be stating our names, right, because this is for the minutes purposes?
Yeah, they'll be transcribed by Avi,
Yeah.
so yes,
So-
if you could, that would be helpful.
So that was Don Fimister to make that motion to accept the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
I will second it. I'm Doreen Ryan.
All right, all those in favor? Everybody? Okay. Anne is not here today. Did she leave anything with you, or maybe she'll be by later?
She might be by later. She could be across the hall possibly,
Okay.
but
All right, we'll skip that for now. New business, we have 2 Lovers Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, tax assessors map 30.1, lot 86, Hoban, I do not know how to say that last name, sorry, applicant Artin Hoxa, owner, application for determination of permitted non-regulated activity associated with the installation of a 500-gallon propane tank.
so A, and B in particular, if you can go ahead and read them all, 10 Drabick Road as well. Again, it was an application for a determination of permitted non-regulated activity associated with construction of a 28 by 40 detached garage. Those 2 items, I've already rendered those determinations. I put them on here because I wasn't sure I was going to get to them before the end of the week.
Oh, I see,
So
okay.
if I have work pending,
Because under
I'm
our new
gonna-
regulations, these are,
right, so I'm going to
Your
start
court.
placing stuff, items on here if I can't get to it, just to keep things rolling.
okay.
And then that gives us to 55 Corey Lane.
Okay.
Essentially, we're just receiving this application this evening. You need to determine whether or not it needs a public hearing. The builder is here if you want to hear from him. I'm sure we can kind of shift gears here. So there, this is an existing single-family residential lot on 55 Corey Lane. There's a proposed plan in your packet. You'll see there is a red delineation of the wetland boundary. I think if you recall, back in February or so, the lot was cleared, or maybe it was earlier than that. And as essentially in talking with the landowner and the builder, the remedy for the violation would be the construction of a single-family house. So they started clearing prior to obtaining the permits. But here we are. No work has since occurred on the lot since I've indicated that they were in violation of the regulations. So they're now applying for their permit to construct the house. Being that the majority of the lot is wet, it's going to obviously involve significant regulated activities. So if you want to hear from the builder at all, he is here.
Yeah, since you're here, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little rundown.
Good evening, Commission members. Jay Lococo, builder. I would like to provide some background and context regarding this project and the events that led us here tonight. The property owner closed on the property on February 11th, 2026. Shortly after, on February 17th, 2026, we came to Town Hall with the intentions of beginning the building permit application process for a single-family residence. We completed and submitted the permit application using the computer provided within the building department office. While in the office that day, I also spoke with a staff member regarding the property and specifically asking about wetlands and any potential restrictions that could affect the project. Together, we reviewed mapping information that was displayed on the office computer. Based on that discussion and the information presented to us, I was advised that there was no wetlands concerns affecting the proposed area of the development. I also specifically asked about clearing limited number of trees to allow our surveyors to access and perform their field work and gather the information necessary to move forward the project. Based on the conversation that took place and my understanding of the information provided, I believed I had a verbal approval to proceed with the limited tree clearing necessary for surveying activities prior to the issuance of a building permit. I want to be very clear that at no point was there any intention to bypass regulations, avoid review, or disregard the permitting process. Had we known there was any possibility that wetlands existed on the property, or that additional approvals or permits would be required before clearing those trees, we would not have proceeded with that work. In hindsight, we acknowledge that we moved too quickly in an effort to keep the project progressing for our client and to avoid unnecessary delays. We take full responsibility for that decision. Our actions were not driven by an attempt to circumvent the process, but rather by a misunderstanding of the site's regulatory requirements based on the information available to us at that time. We respect the Commission's role in protecting wetlands and natural resources and are committed to working cooperatively with the town to address any concerns, comply with all requirements, and move forward appropriately.
Appreciate the transparency there.
Thank you.
I drove by and it was definitely clear cut.
Yeah.
And it looks like you can see the wetlands visible on the back property. So it is an existing approved building lot. Have you heard from Ledgelight at all yet?
So prior to the closing, we did a soil test with them, and we had the records of that. They were out on site, and again, there was no talk of wetlands there, which is pretty odd, especially when we were excavating holes.
And so the proposal is for a 3-bedroom, and I was looking at the, some of the background information. You're proposing the septic is gonna go in the back of the yard or the front of the yard? 'Cause I thought, this looks like it's in the back, but I thought,
So if you go back to that one
discussion
you
was
just
in
had
the
up
front.
there.
Back to this.
Yeah, so you can see it's up in the front here. So based on the soils there, I
oh, I'm
mean,
sorry, I'm assuming Corey Lane's on the bottom.
No,
So
it's on the
let me get it
top.
upside down. Okay. Okay.
So I'm assuming that all the other houses on that side of the street in Corey Lane have septic systems as well?
correct.
Correct.
And is there like, I couldn't make the sidewalk, but I did drive by. Is there standing water, or is there a pond, or is there a stream in the back?
I'm not aware of standing water. I haven't seen any on site. I've briefly spoken to Danielle Holmes, the sanitarian. She didn't say she saw any standing water when they did the test pits. She did indicate the groundwater was high. But whether or not they can actually get a code complying system on the lot, I don't know. That'll be up to Ledgelight. Assuming they can, then that's what we'll be approving. I believe I've indicated that we've received the application to Danielle and that we'd be looking for a referral report from them, that the septic would be functional.
So based on our testing, they said it was viable. We did submit all the testing, so I'm sure that'll come along one way.
Imagine there'll be a report coming forward shortly.
And so notices went out to the neighbors that, are we determining?
You're going to
if there's
determine if it needs a public
If it needs a
hearing.
public hearing or not?
Correct.
And have you heard anything from any of the neighbors or anybody?
I have not, but being that
No
it
one
is
here is a neighbor to this property? No.
feeling, it is going to get direct wetland impacts. There are irretrievable losses, so that by definition is a significant regulated activity, and that's sufficient enough to send it to a public hearing if you wanted to. The other is public interest. So it's an established neighborhood. I don't know
Yeah.
that would be surprised to see a house go up, other than it's wet. So that's probably why it hasn't been built for as long as it has. In regards to the staff, I will have to research that and investigate who you spoke with within our office. I know it was not me, because I knew that there was a map that was filed on the land record recording this delineation about 2 years ago. So I was aware of that. So our in-house staff must not have obviously been aware.
Are there houses on either side? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
get to drive by each.
So if you look at the plan, you can see there's what looks like a wall on both sides of, there's the edge of this house over there,
Okay,
and then the
those
edge
were
of
the
this
houses.
house is there.
Okay.
So this is a pocket of wetlands that sits between the two. And behind to the rear of the lot, my understanding is it's all wetland.
So is this, we're deciding whether it needs a public hearing? Not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have 65 days to render a decision, and the clock would start tonight.
And if we don't get the information we need from Danielle in that time, we would just,
You would have to take action on the application, and you can decide whether to approve it or not.
Yeah.
But I think if you had no response, you'd be kind of stuck a little bit in your which direction you have to go if you were forced to act on the application. So I'm just pulling up the lot here.
yeah, since it is a very wet property, is there a specific septic system that you're proposing to accommodate that?
So we proposed a fill on the property. It's going to be roughly like 3 feet-ish, because when we dug, like you said, there was high groundwater. So when we did that, we felt it was maybe place it about a half a foot under grade and then backfill above it. And if you look at the lot and you're standing in front of the lot and you look at the left and right side, I mean, it definitely comes down like a valley, and it can be brought up to match the neighboring houses. And we proposed that on the site plan as well.
So when you did the digging and you noticed how high the water level was, wasn't that kind of a light thing, light went on and said, this could be wetlands?
No, because I had the engineer out there, I had the health district out there, and those are 2 professionals that know it better than I do, and they had no concerns. I mean, we dig all the time, and there's groundwater in a lot of areas that don't have wetlands, so.
So this is an approved building lot? Right,
It's,
Tom?
yes, it's an existing approved building lot with the Quarry Lane subdivision. So I brought it up here on our GIS.
Right.
So this is lot 55, 53 is here, 57. This area to the rear of the parcel, I believe, is all wet. You can see this is maybe some standing water right here. There's maybe a stream over on this side. If I zoom further out, it's a little harder, but you can kind of see the general. If you follow my cursor, this is the wetland area in here. So the bulk of this parcel is wet. I believe that was studied years ago at some point where the town was looking into possibly locating the police station on this parcel. We are familiar with it being quite wet.
And is this city water?
Yes.
Yes. So what do we think about a public hearing? Do you think that's
Well,
necessary?
I have a concern, as far as us being enforcers, and, we have an example tonight of someone going in and kind of doing what they want, and I think we have to establish that, we have rules here. And so I would like to see it as a public hearing.
I second that. Carl Lombardo, I second that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vilcek, our alternate, he can speak,
Hi, John.
just can't vote.
As an unseated alternate, do I have any privilege to?
Yeah, yes. Yep.
I would be wary, and I would recommend a public hearing, because anytime you disturb the wetland, even if it's an approved building lot, it has a potential to affect the neighbors. Okay, you're disturbing something, and in that disturbing, we need some comment from the neighbors to see how they feel about this development.
Okay, so I think the consensus is that we'll have a public hearing next month on this.
Yeah, certainly, I would just to piggyback on Mr. Vilcek's comment about how the neighbors feel. Understandably, we can consider it, but again, their feelings, while they may not like it, we have
We
to
have to
follow.
bring scientific proof of impact.
Correct, if it's going
Yes.
to adversely impact them.
Yes.
And so they're going to look at, we should just remain technical with the review.
Right. Yeah, good point.
Um,
And we should have more information at that point.
But you could request if staff would have, so I still have to review this application. I've not fully reviewed it. I would refer it to the town engineer for the drainage piece.
Agreed.
Obviously, we're waiting on ledge light. I believe zoning, I'll refer it to Bill. Most likely, it looks like it's going to meet the building setbacks and so forth. So assuming all of that comes back favorable. I don't know if we'll need additional information. If you need any other information, we do have, again, the wetlands were delineated. We have a wetland soils report. I don't know if there's any other information, but if there's anything in your review between now and the next month, please let me know, and I will pass that on to the applicant so that they can get us the information before the next meeting.
So is that the last open lot in the Quarry Lane subdivision?
I think there's one or two others.
There may be one or two others.
Not important. We'll have a public hearing. It's the right thing
Do you need a motion for that? Public hearing?
Do I need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Yes, are you telling me I need a motion for that? Do I hear a
It
motion?
sounds like you have a first here, but
Did
a
I-
motion would be great.
I'll make the motion to have the public hearing.
I think Kyle seconded
Say your
that.
name.
Second that motion.
Kyle, those in favor?
Aye.
Greg, was that you too? Do you
I'm abstaining.
abstaining? Okay.
Can I also just remind the applicant about the posting of the sign?
Yes, so you're gonna have to post a sign, that there'll be a public hearing. I can
Okay.
send you copies of that language,
Sure.
so we'll have staff do that.
So the public hearing will be at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Which would be July,
Yeah, it's the
is it the
seventh.
week after the
It's,
4th?
the Tuesday after the 4th.
July
The 7th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, July 7th. Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Ann's here if you want to. Ann's here if you want to do the ex officio.
I'm sorry?
Ann
Oh,
is here.
Ann, yes, I did see you walk in.
Yeah, sorry, I was at the
No,
end of
that's
the
fine.
meeting.
Do you want to do your
Yeah, sure.
ex-officio report?
I have one question. Is it just one sign?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hi, Ian Chicallo, ex officio from the Board of Selectmen. I really don't have too much to report tonight. Basically, we have really been focused on the budget. There is a referendum this Thursday, June 4th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the community center. So I would encourage everybody to come out and vote and support, vote yes on the referendum and the budget. It did fail the first time, and we're really hoping that it will pass this time. So it's really been a long haul. I think we've started this in like December or something, so kind of waiting for this to pass and so we can move forward. There's not much else going on from the Board of Selectmen that I can think of. Does anybody have any questions though? No?
No?
Okay, great. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ann. Good luck.
Yep.
All right, so new business D is 78 Flanders Road, East Lyme, Connecticut, tax assessors map 21.3, lot 150. Siddhartha Kalita is the applicant owner. Request to release the planting performance bond in the amount of $5,000. This is that property that's on Gorton Ponds.
It just sold.
But there's a for sale sign on it, which I know
Like, I thought,
they purported that they were going to live there, yes.
yes.
That being said, I went out and I did a site inspection this afternoon, took some photos. The 4 maple trees that were installed are doing quite well. However, the other understory shrubs are not so much. So it would not be my recommendation to release the bond at this time. If you wanted to reduce it in an amount that would cover, they say, just the trees, that you could do that, but it is such a small bond amount. It might be just worth me contacting them, telling them they're going to have to replace some of those plantings or enhance them. I mean, they are living, but by a thread type of a thing. And then there's some what look like plugs or was skunk cabbage that they put in, but it was trampled or eaten. So it doesn't look like that it really is well vegetated. So with that, I'll just advise them that they'll need to enhance their buffer with new plants or additional plantings on top of that, and then we'll have to wait another growing season. So they have to get them through the fall, and then I think
Yeah.
How do we inform, since the property sold, like the new owners to make sure that they know not to, like we had this whole thing that they cut stuff down along the lake, that they should not do that, like they're not just gonna mow right to the water.
other than the site plan, I don't know that is the current landowner advising them that there are regulated areas. I don't know. I would hope they are. I can't. Now the wetland permit's still active, right? We have a bond. So if they sell it and transfer ownership, they need to transfer the ownership of the permit to the new owner. So you'll see on here, it's not on here, but I would, under my report, I'm going to comment on, it was 138 North Brybrook Road. It was the Nibelung parcel. It has sold, and they've requested that we transfer the permit into another name. So they're following the regulation, that, and that's how that would happen. So in this case, if it's sold, then Mr. Kalita needs to advise us as to whom we need to transfer the permit to. So
So-
right now, it's still in his name, and they're still requesting, well, in this case, the builder's requesting the bond back, which we have to release to them.
That's the
The builder.
$5,000.
The $5,000 goes to Carl Murata, who is the builder.
Yeah, because the criticality of what the trees look great, but we need the plantings as a
right.
buffer. So I don't want to release any part of that because I want to make sure that it,
You've got about 50% survival rate, right? You got
Mhm.
just out of 12, I think there was a total of 12 plantings and 4 trees, and there was a couple, what looked like hydrangeas.
Yeah, those didn't do well at all.
They didn't do too well. He's got a couple other shrubs in there that I don't, I'd have to look to see what they were
I
again.
think I could see gravel as I was driving by, you know,
It's,
down
they
the
got wood,
edge.
it's wood chipped
Oh, it's wood chipped?
around the
Yeah.
trees, down to the edge. Then you got grasses.
So isn't there like at least a 3-foot buffer that should
So
be
you
there?
got,
There's nothing.
yeah,
basically from the water's edge to the edge of the picture is the buffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public can't see this.
because we could, I mean, it's kind of technically a violation. So could you do like a lien on it so that the new homeowners would realize there's a wetlands violation on their property? Make sure that that gets planted properly?
I would think that we could just write them a letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just take from an enforcement perspective, if need be, I would write them a letter, but in this case, I'm gonna reach out to the
I'd
builder.
like to see a letter. No
And
floating
it's-
dock.
I would just reach out to the builder and say you need to enhance your plantings,
Okay.
and we're gonna continue to hold the bond. My
Yeah.
guess is that if the property transfers, that bond's gonna be a problem for
Right.
somebody, and it's gonna hold, they're gonna have to probably put it in somebody else's name. Or they're gonna be
Or
on
will
the
they
hook.
charge $5,000 more for the house and walk away? Can they do that?
Maybe, it's possible.
Well,
but-
but the
then we
town
would
still
have a
got the money.
violation.
But the town still has money.
So in that case, if they walk away, then we call the bond and put the plants in ourselves.
Okay.
But once we do that, we have no more money to replace the plantings, but that's what it's there for,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
so.
Okay. Makes sense. So then pending applications is the 55 Corey Lane, Niantic, Connecticut, which we discussed.
With a public hearing will
We're
be.
gonna have a public hearing next month on that. So old business, I have nothing for chairman's report, so moving on to the inland wetlands agent report.
So I gave you the handout of the administrative report, permits that I've issued since April 7th. There's a determination on here, 56 Spring Rock Road. I've since acted on that one as well, indicating that no permit was required. Still working on the Rocco Drive, the vegetation's not coming back. I'm getting very little response from him to do anything out there, so I guess I'm not sure exactly maybe the best approach forward to try to replace that, the trees that he did remove. So I'll talk with town council and maybe we'll figure something out.
So who would pay for that?
Well, 9 Rocco Drive did the clearing. It's on the abutting land, so the abutting landowner is concerned that the neighbor cleared on his property. So, because they inherit a violation, right? That's. So I'll work diligently, I guess, on trying to get that rectified, and at least something planted. I'm not too worried about the slopes. They're well vegetated. If you'd like, I'll take some pictures and provide them at our next meeting, so at least you can get an idea of what's out there, if you have it.
Okay.
In regards to shooting of firearms, I'm still investigating that. I haven't been able to speak to the individual who complained, but I will reach out to them and see if there's been any more activity in regard to that. I don't have any real reason to enter their property to watch them shoot. So, and it's not something I
Sounds a
necessarily,
little, maybe you want to be cautionary with that.
you know, parcel's 80 some odd acres. So again, yeah, that might be, well, I'll have to get some more information as to, from the person complaining. And then, of course, as I said, we'd get to the Lakeside Point subdivision. I did provide for you in your packet pictures from an inspection that I took on site Monday. I met with Rich Lemieux, and I confirmed with him that they have staked, they did stake the conservation easement for me. And the existing silt fence runs approximately along that boundary, about a 1 foot in.
That runs along the conservation easement.
Correct. So, I told Mr. Lemieux on Monday, he says, well, I have the right to clear. I said, you have a right in your conservation easement to clear. So you're not violating the easement. However, you don't have a right to clear it because it's not part of your wetlands permit. I said, if it's part of the permit that I issued, then by all means. But I don't recall approving clearing within the conservation easement. As a matter of fact, I believe the silt fence on your plan was the limit of disturbance. So, I provided the site plans for all 3 lots. And you can see the silt fence is, and this is again, this is a 20 scale. So I would estimate there's at least 20 feet between the edge of that silt fence and the conservation easement, and this is on, it would be 60 in the furthest lot to the north. The middle lot, lot 2, otherwise known as lot 2. Here again, here's the silt fence. I can zoom in if you can't
It's
see
called
it.
the limit of disturbance for a reason.
So you have this, so you can see the conservation easement, they got it even labeled there, and the silt fence, so it runs right along there.
Yeah.
But it's a good, you know, you got 70 feet to the house, so it's a good 40, 50 feet off the property there, and then the wetlands a little bit beyond. And then on the final, this is 56, on the house that's currently, oh, the house that's on the point. You can see here's the silt fence. It does swing closer to the property line in the edge of the wetland there. But you can see where it says conservation easement. So there's only this little area that he was permitted to clear within that easement area. So he's cleared well beyond that, particularly on lot 2. And then all of this area back in here has also been cleared, where he's only has a footing drain outlet. You only need a 5-foot swap for trench. So, and he could actually discharge that back here. I don't know that he needs to be way out there. But,
Which property, like on this map,
so this is the property to the south, where all the pictures were taken from,
This one?
is on this here. I was standing approximately at this well location
So these numbers
yeah,
correspond
when I
to
took
these
the
pictures.
majority of those photos. So it was within
this
this
is
this well radius in here, where my cursor is.
okay.
So based on this, based on my inspection, obviously he's in violation of his own permits. So
Yeah,
I
because
will,
the whole point was like, so he removed all the wetlands and watercourses from the property, and so he put these 3 houses up for application, and then, but then he went beyond.
well, by cutting the wetlands off and conveying it to the land trust, right? He removes the wetlands from the property. So under statute, he doesn't have to come before the commission because there's no wetlands technically on his property. The other thing that does is it actually eliminates the waterfront property aspect of the parcel when you
Right.
go to tax it.
But these pictures would show that
That's
they're
waterfront.
waterfront properties.
Again, while pictures might show, the boundary line is what the assessor's reviewing. So it'll affect the assessment. It just will.
But isn't he still within the 300 feet?
So he is within the 300 feet. And because he's got a permit that was issued that says do not clear beyond these silt fence lines, right? And he has, I would say he's in violation. I think and I understand the public's concerns, and certainly the length of time it took to get to this point to determine that he is in violation. I think Mr. Lemieux thinks that because his conservation easement allows him or gives him the right to clear trees 6 inches or less in diameter, somehow he's got carte blanche to do the work out there. I advised him on Monday, he does not, and then if it was not part of the wetland permits, he'd be in violation and he'd have to correct it. And so he said, well, let me know. So I think he's willing to correct it if he has to, is my guess. So.
Are we holding a bond for this work?
No, I did not require a bond. I didn't anticipate him clearing the conservation easement. I anticipated him adhering to his limits of clearing.
Could we have public comment?
No.
We can't, I apologize. If you have concerns, please email Gary.
I'm a member of a commission in this town. I was told that I could speak at any of the commission meetings. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Maybe Ann, would you know? Can Don?
I'm a member of the Conservation Commission. I was told that I could speak at other commission meetings.
Where are we on this exactly?
We're under the enforced by report. We're talking about Lakeside, and so he may have pertinent information. It's not a public hearing, but it's.
I do have heard.
I guess if
May the gentleman speak on my behalf as a member of this board?
Well, he can speak to the board because he's a member,
John can, yes.
but he's not. You can't vote on anything right now. Well, we're not
Well,
voting
yeah,
on
but
anything
no one
anyway.
can speak on his behalf.
Would you join me and
That's what I.
please explain to me, as I explain to the board, what it is you have to say?
Well,
Well,
first, regarding this jurisdiction matter, I did speak with Connecticut Deep because Mr. Torrance claimed that paragraph that he put in, that again, which led to the approval of this 3-lot subdivision by the Planning Commission. He said this was part of something, that's why it was in red. He said he negotiated this with Connecticut Deep. I found out the name of the person at Connecticut Deep who was involved with the Hathaway purchase and all this stuff back and forth with the town. I spoke with her on Friday. Now, she said once the subdivision was carved out, she was quite aware of it, Deep will not do anything. She knows about what these provisions were, et cetera, but Deep will not do anything. Their only concern now is with the remaining open space property. However, she was quite clear to me that this is entirely within your purview. This whole thing was in your upland review area, conservation easement or not. This clearing should have been something that you could have said yes or no to, 10 foot, 1,000 feet, whatever. She was quite clear on that. I just wanted to bring it before this commission to say that, and in her opinion, and she's an environmental professional dealing with land use and wetlands issues. That's what I want to say. So I don't think we can just say, oh, well, like last time, oh, gee, it has a conservation easement. Oh, that exempts them from everything. That's, in my opinion, that's ludicrous. And that's all I want to say.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, obviously there was significant clearing here that was done without a permit. And what is our path forward?
So I will notify Mr. Lemieux he's in violation of the wetland regulations and he needs to come up with a planting plan, a landscape plan to restore it.
I mean, his email
Yeah.
response, it appears the Lake Association people want to complain about the clearing. And he's saying, well, everyone else has clearing, so I can do it. I mean, it's,
Well,
May I say something else again? Can I bring a personal example to this board? I moved into my home on Patagonic Road 17 years ago. This is the first time I actually met Mr. Gaishel. I'm an environmental professional. I got a letter at home NOV. I know what an NOV is, a notice of violation. I was astounded, and someone on this Wetlands Commission, my builder, just like Lemieux, maybe wasn't, I'm not gonna say he's totally innocent, but maybe he wasn't told a lot of these things. My builder never told me that he had an inland wetlands permit from this agency 17 years ago that required me to put in a riparian vegetated buffer. I'm the only one on my house, my street, that has that buffer. Every other house was built in the 60s or 70s. They didn't have to worry about that stuff. I was never told this, so I didn't have one. It was March, first of all, by the way, but yet I got this, and I did. I came before you can look it up. I came before this commission with a plan, with the landscape architect. I came before this commission to put in a small dock. So I followed the rules. So he can't use that as an excuse.
Could you have the woman from the DEP write up?
Pardon me?
Could you have the woman from the DEP that you spoke to write up what she said?
I don't think she's going to do that. She
Would
told me
back it
that
up?
DEP will not get involved, but she told me, and I'm not lying to you, she said, absolutely, this is under your purview, in her opinion.
Yeah, no question, okay.
So, I just wanted to say, if you're gonna reach out to them, I would reach out in writing, make sure you like send an email to them, or, you know, however you wanna send it, certified mail to, you said you were gonna be,
Reaching out to the builder.
or the landowner, the builder, whoever you said is in the.
Yeah, Nova Construction, who is the landowner and the builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be putting them on notice that they're
Okay.
in
I just
violation.
want,
And,
okay.
yeah.
I just want to make sure that, you know, I would send it like certified mail just to make sure, you know, you get it signed off on and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can, we
Confirm
would
receipt.
require him to cease and desist any and all site work. You know, if he wants to continue working on the house, fine, put your windows in, do whatever, but anything outside in terms of the site work, we think that has to stop until we have a plan that's approved by the commission that rectifies the violation.
So you mentioned that the neighbors were also concerned. I know some people that live up there and they've talked about it. Would this be open for a public hearing?
Not as a violation.
Not as a-
think,
okay.
not as a violation.
No, not a violation.
Yeah, the public can just contact you with emails.
Right, I mean, they could,
There's
yeah, there's ways to
concerns.
voice their concerns through the staff, and obviously I can convey that message to you. I don't know, you know, I'm happy to do that.
I just wanted to confirm that there's going to be receipt of the violation. You know,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
my
we
main
would
concern.
Follow the formalized process.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, we'll follow the enforcement procedure and the regulations to go forward.
So the planning commission gave him that strip along the water.
No, I would say the previous owner sliced off that and conveyed that off just prior without any subdivision approval, and it's conveyed under the guise of the purposes of conservation. You can divide land without going through the planning commission or even coming here. So
So-
we cut off the wetlands, go to the land trust. It's for the purposes of conservation.
So it looks to me on the map like there's a lot of other land out there that's undeveloped
So-
that could fall in the same situation. Is there
Within town and in general, or do you mean out?
on Lake Patagonia?
So on Lake Patagonia, it's, I believe, from my last look, these would be the last three houses on the lake. Short of the Lloyds, who were conveyed additional acreage, they had the little cabin. If they were able to figure out a way to develop that 12 acres, well, then you could have additional land. That's this piece here. But if you look at the ownership around this lake, it's Whitegate Farm. Again, if it sold and got carved up, certainly there's acreage there. The what used to be the Girl Scout property, what is now the Patagonia Arts Center, I don't think is changing. Again, there's acreage there. You could see some development. A lot, we now, this, obviously the Hathaway property, this is 117 acres, that's now an open space. This portion, this piece here is owned by Yale, so it's part of their conglomerate across the street here. I believe this parcel here has been put into like some, I think they sold the development rights on it. So a lot of this has already been preserved. 25 Hathaway, if he was able to extend the road over the lake here and build a road, maybe he could subdivide that. Again, there's wetlands and water courses on that property. I think limiting that, and you can see on the north side of this has all been built out and developed.
I think I just want to better understand why this person thought that conservation easement and the limits of disturbance are there for a reason, and yet he could go in and just leave some tall trees. And I mean, we see this conservation easement popping up more and more as we see these environmental conservative developments. And so they're supposed to be there to be protective of the water nearby, and yet this person completely destroys it. So how do we prevent this from happening?
It's a great question. I will have to think that one through a little bit. And
Mr. Lemieux told me he's been in regular contact with you. Is that not true?
it's not a public hearing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne.
Apologies, we can't.
But I will answer that just to be transparent. He has been in contact. I've been out there. So sorry that I haven't acted faster,
Why wasn't it stopped?
because I asked him to delineate where the conservation easement was. And until I knew, correct, and I met him.
We came here in March, we asked that it be staked out.
Right, I recall that,
It was
yeah.
staked out, and it was totally ignored.
Well, I just looked at it Monday. So I would say for the month of May, it was
3 months
ignored.
went by and you weren't out there.
Um,
So in Gary's
I've asked for help. The budget hasn't passed.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
So getting back to Chris's question, right now there are trees there, but what's to stop the person from cutting those trees down? Because I know views are very expensive, and people like to have no trees.
The regulations are what is the enforcement action. So
Right.
if somebody goes, cuts the tree down, right?
Can we-
I can't stop somebody from cutting a tree necessarily, but if they do, they're in violation, and we have that mechanism to enforce.
So there's a violation here, so he's
Correct.
gonna have to come to us.
Correct.
And I know in other recent developments, we've had them put tags up at the easement marking those. And I think that's a good method for homeowners to see these tags, say, oh wait, you can't clear these trees. Like, there's things that we can do in that regard, but from before the homeowners are there and these developers are doing things like this,
But
infuriating.
it was an easement, so he wasn't supposed to touch anything in the easement, correct?
It's a conservation easement, correct?
Right. So, I mean, his first line of his email
Without a permit from this commission.
says that, people want to complain about the easement clearing.
He admits it, right?
Like, you're not supposed to touch anything in the easement, so,
I think he interprets the fact that the easement allowed him to clear vegetation 6 inches in diameter or less, as if it being somehow that's the authorization that he needed and the right to go do it. Well, it's the easement's allowing you to do that, presuming you get a wetlands permit to do it. The easement doesn't preclude it from happening. It's just you need a permit to do it. And that he's failed to get because he didn't include them with his house permit.
Okay, so one of these pictures includes a house. Did that house come before the inland wetlands because it's well within the 300?
No, I reviewed it and issued the permit.
Okay. All right.
It's a single-family house. It's no different than any other than its location.
So there's 3 lots. The 2 other lots that haven't been developed yet, would those come before the inland wetlands now and be reviewed?
Well, they're on violation because he cleared on them, so you're going to get to see them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so initially.
I had
when
indicated back in
Yeah.
March that I could bring them forward,
And that they would, if they were gonna clear a 10-foot path, they would have to come to us. So,
but they didn't clear a 10-foot path. They cleared the understory.
yeah. So you're gonna issue the cease and desist against outside site work, and then we'll have discussions at our next meeting.
I'll have to put that together, yes.
Okay.
And this will be right after the contract that cleared all of that property for the last 3 to 4 months.
I move that we adjourn. This is Greg McIntyre. I move we adjourn.
I just have a quick question for Gary, because we talked about this before. On North Brybrook, the apartments that are there, if you drive by, you'll see there's a retainer, water retention pond there.
Correct.
That's perhaps maybe 20 feet off the back of one of those apartments. Should that pond or retaining pond be fenced in?
I'll have to,
That's an insurance question.
yeah, that's a liability thing. I'll have to ask Frank, the building official, based on the slopes. I'll talk to Bill Mulholland as well, and Alex, our town engineer, to see if it needs a fence around it. They have built the berm and they've planted some trees in the front, but I'm not certain. My guess is I don't see a fence going up, so I don't know that one was
Okay.
required, but I can double check.
Okay, so I can second.
So I move, this is Greg McIntyre, move that we adjourn. Phyllis
Second.
has seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go.